Go ahead, Bob.
Yes, Robert Bates. I'm very concerned about this ratio, and not so much about the ratio, but for everybody in this room that depends on our police for protection. Frankly, I was horrified when I read the front page article in the Reporter last week. I didn't realize how bad it was. Do you realize, folks, that on weekend nights we have 2 officers out there on patrol with no supervisor? 2 for a town of 21,000 people. That's scary. I know they can call in backup. I worked in this building for 16 years, and I had a chance to interact as a counselor here with police officers very often. You don't know how often they're called into this building. Thankfully, we haven't had a Parkland, Florida in this building. We had a bad situation back in 2006 at the elementary school. You never know. But these folks are here doing preventive work that helps us avoid some of that kind of situation. And if they're no longer able to do that, I tell you, it's scary. So my question, I guess, Max, maybe you can help on this. If we were to start the two new officers as of July 1, rather than wait on one of them until next January, what difference would there be in that $147,000 increase? How much more would it cost?
About $45,000
Okay.
to have it both start on July 1.
Okay. Then I would like to amend this budget figure by adding that $45,000 to the current proposed figure that's on the floor.
So you're making a motion to amend.
I am making that amendment, I guess it is. Yes, to amend that figure by an additional $45,000, with the intent being that we start a second officer in July.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a second? David Keenan. All right. Obviously, you've already talked about it. So now, at this point in time, because there's been a motion made and seconded, we are only discussing the amendment to raise the town budget by $45,000. I'm going to restate. The motion is to raise the town budget by $45,000 with the intent that, obviously, the select board has final say, with the intention of trying to start one of the second police officer in July 1 instead of Jan 1. All right. Would you like to speak to that amendment? Go ahead.
My name's Henry Gaber. I'm not familiar with what's going on with the police department, but it sounds like I'm sure the police department was involved in this decision to add these 2 officers in a staggered position. I'm sure the selectmen and our officers, our elected officials, have got a plan in place. So I would be opposed to adding an increase and trying to move that forward unless there was a call for it from the police department itself.
All right. Thank you very much.
To continue, Richard Smith, excuse
Thank
me.
you.
So to continue speaking on the increase for the police, a 3.1% raise would be $80,000 when you add in the benefits. So there's still $120,000 gap there.
Yep.
Plus what we're talking about adding, so $160-something thousand gap.
Thank you. And discussion on the amendment to raise the budget $45,000.
Go ahead. I want to speak something else. Or we're still talking about that.
You can only, right now, until we vote on it, that's all we can talk about. Any other discussion on the amendment on the floor? All right, seeing none, we'll go to a vote, just like last time. I'm going to restate. So there's a motion to amend the town budget to increase it $45,000 with the intention to try and pull in the second police position earlier in the year to July 1. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Nay. I think that's close enough to call for a division. So in this case, what I'm going to ask people to do is we're going to have the ayes stand first, and then the nays, and the Board of Civil Authority will count one at a time. It just takes a couple minutes. And don't sit down until I tell you. Because it can get confusing. So all those in favor of the amendment, please stand. Now let's change, and all the no votes, please stand. The results of the vote was 147 ayes, 95 nays. The motion to amend carries.